All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the call for tonight. And we are uh, we are back on our normal schedule here on Wednesday evening. And of course, for the last couple of weeks, what we have been doing is, of course, we've been doing the 30-day challenge. And what I want to do tonight is really get back to normal and to really start by making sure that if you have any questions, that we're able to cover those questions. That even whether or not we cover the questions or not, that we actually do get to do a few things that are specifically related to PLR. Now, I am going to cover a few things tonight that I think are important if you are going to be using PLR, in particular, if you're going to use it either to create products, either to create bonuses for the audience that you are going to be working with. And, I think that hopefully every day that you're making an offer of some kind to someone, even if you don't feel like you have a list, that one of the things that you should be doing on a daily basis is really and truly. Oh, I think I'm not visible here. Is truly, making sure that you are on a routine basis doing something to do list building, doing something to put your offer in front of somebody. And so if you're doing that, even if it's an affiliate offer, right, it doesn't even have to always be your offer. As long as it is something that you're doing on a daily basis, that you are literally doing something to market your business. And asking someone for the sale is marketing your business. So that counts. Doing something to put yourself in the position to build your list, that counts. Doing something to put a free offer in front from somebody, that sounds. Hi, Jerry. And something that you're doing on a daily basis, hopefully, is to make sure that you're getting in position to build your list. And actually generating a sale is building your list. These days, you can automate the process of putting someone into your autoresponder once they actually buy your product. Now, that doesn't always mean that they're going to stay there, but it does mean that you're going to have the opportunity to mail to them at least once. And you can do, and I think what Russell Brunson talks about, I've been talking about him a lot recently, is that he talks about making sure that you have a sequence ready so that when that person joins your autoresponder, they're going to get 10 emails. Now, unfortunately, at this point, even in Aweber, you'd almost have to manually watch your list to know when people had finished a 10-day series. And that's really the downside of even that strategy. It's a little more complicated now, and I'm looking into how you might be able to do that in Aweber. They do have some exclusion features in the autoresponder that you could say, take a look at a certain segment of people and then not mail to another segment of people. But there's no way to say, at the 10-day point, once somebody has been part of your list 10 weeks, they can now be mailed as part of your broadcast emails, right? So that being said, are there any questions? Any questions? And actually, for this stage, you don't have to have a question that's related to PLR. I will take your questions on internet marketing in general, and we will start from there. So does anyone have specific questions, something that you have been trying to do, something that maybe you've been trying to get going and you haven't been able to? I want you to go ahead and make sure that you ask those questions now here at the beginning. I do have a few prepared remarks, but I'd rather start with your questions if you have them. So let's say that there's something that you've been trying to do. Let's say that you've purchased something and you're trying to figure out how to get it into your business. If you have those kinds of questions, let's take those now. If you don't, I do have some things I'll share with you, but if not, let's try to get your questions in. Let me ask you a question, though, of those of you who are here. If let's say if you're involved in affiliate marketing, right? Affiliate marketing, I'd like for you to put the number 1 in the question box. If you are involved in creating a product, right, and that is what you're trying to do, I'd like you to put the number 2 in the question box. And if you're doing a service or something else, right? That could be software, freelancing, anything else. Like you put the number 3. So 1 is you know, your 1 is affiliate marketing, 2 is creating your own products and selling it, and 3 is services, freelancing, and everything else. So if you want to put it out in public, you can do that. If not, just write it back to me here in private. So again, number 1, let me know if you're doing affiliate marketing. Number 2, if you're doing, put the number 2 in the question box if you're doing product creation, right? And number 3, you are doing services and other things. Okay, so that's what you're doing right now, right? That's what you're doing right now. Okay, now, okay, good. Let's see. One of you is building a membership site. Awesome. What would you? Okay, so that probably answers the question for some of you. What would you like to be doing? Or in other words, what would you like? How would you like to be working to generate income online? If you're in a different place, let's say that you are. You're doing one thing, but you'd like to be doing another thing. So how many of you you like to be making money as an affiliate, and you don't want to bother with any of it, right? You don't want to bother with product creation. You don't want to be bothered with customer service. You just want to sell the product, and then you want to go about your merry way. You want to generate money as an affiliate. That's number 1. That's what you'd like to be doing. And it's different from what you want. I want you to put the number 1 again in the question box. If number 2 is you'd like to create your own products, maybe you're an affiliate now, maybe you are freelancing, or maybe you're doing some service, but you like to start making money by creating products, I want you to put the number 2 in the question box if it's different. And then number 3, if you'd like to leave all this selling, right? You don't want to sell. You don't want to sell. You don't want to sell products. You don't want to sell anything. You just want to make sure that people understand your value as a service provider, and that you then move toward being paid. You probably never be paid what you're worth, but you'll be paid it commensurate to what you're able to produce. Now, okay, yep, okay, so that's actually a good segue. Dana has. She says she'd like to create more products, but she needs more time. And I think that is going to be the case with all of us. We probably have less time than we'd like to, right? We probably like to have more time, but we don't have it always. And so what we want to do is we want to try tonight. I want to show you a few tools, and I want to kind of make sure that you have some, let's see my background, have some tools available to you. And one of the things I want to show you here, and I'm going to show my screen now, is called Basecamp. Basecamp, and I'm going to go to Basecamp right now. And as you can see here now, Basecamp is either free or it is $20 a month if you have a lot of projects. Now, if you have, I think, between 3 and 10 projects, Basecamp is $20 a month. If you have 3 or less, Basecamp is free. Okay, and see, okay, great, Jerry. Jerry says that he'd like to do more. He wants to get the infrastructure in place, contracts and other legal agreements. Okay, outstanding. So, Jerry, I assume that you're doing consulting and offline marketing. And if that's the case, let me know. Okay, so you're consulting with small business, I assume, if you're talking about contracts and legal agreements. And Ralph wants to build a membership site and write a book in a niche. Outstanding. Right? 2 very good strategies. Now, what I want to show you here is Basecamp, and what you're going to see here, and I've kind of culled this out so that you can be able to see it. Now, what Basecamp is a project manager, and one of the things that I have discovered, and I'm not going to spend long on this, but I do want to show you this. One of the things I've discovered over time is that a to-do list is not enough. What happens is you probably get to the thing. How many of you all find that you're able to get to the things that that you're able to get to the things that you that are urgent, right? You're able to get to the things that are urgent, but you are unable to get to the things that you would say are projects, right? It's hard to get to those things. And so what happens is you might find that the urgent things get done every day and they get taken care of. But what doesn't happen are those things that you need to do in order to build up your business because they're not urgent. And I understand the whole. I've already heard the I guess discussion on the tyranny, the urgent. You want to decide on what's important versus urgent. I understand all that, and that's not. I'm not necessarily what I'm talking about here. What I want to say to you is that one of the ways that you want to start managing that is to have a tool, and one of the tools that I've found, probably the most flexible one that I've found, is called Basecamp. And the reason that Basecamp is key and is flexible enough is because it is considered to be first of all, it's web-based. So you don't have to have software on your PC. That means you can access it with your mobile device. That means you can access it if you're elsewhere. And like most software as a service, that's going to be kind of key for you to be able to kind of pull some of this stuff together. And so what Basecamp does is it allows you to plan out your projects, right? And so before you create your to-do list, you really do have to decide on what your projects are, because the projects are the things that are really going to make you money. In other words, if you never plan out your product, you probably won't create it. What's going to happen is every day you're going to do the most urgent things. You're going to do the things that are right in front of you, and you're going to fit those things in. But until you can find a way to create a project and have that project fit into your schedule, then you probably will be less likely to create a product until you absolutely positively have to. And that's the worst way to create a product, is when you have to have it for income. And so because you will skip steps and you will do kind of what you need to do to kind of get it out there. What a project manager does is it makes it part of your to-do list. I'm going to show you how to do this now. Very briefly. Now, I have a general area of what this is a project inside of Basecamp. Now, you can organize Basecamp however you want to. I'm just showing you how I do it. And so Basecamp I have in here, it says gain mind share, right? And what I'm doing is when I get ready to create a product, I will go to my to-do list and I will just call this to-do list whatever the product name is. So for example, I know that I have a product. If you can see here, one of the products I have next is information overload and shiny object syndrome, right? And I know I have another product in here that's called becoming a business advocate, and it's actually for the and that one's actually for the offline niche. So I wouldn't even create that one in here. Right, I know I've got one in here for YouTube advertising. Right, I know I've got a product coming up on that, or that I'm creating a product. So I'm going to add a to-do list in here. Now, the first thing I want to do, and this is just how I use Basecamp, is I make sure that the first date that I put in here is going to be the date that I want to launch the product. Right, so the date that I want to launch the product, that is going to be the first due date that I put in here. So in this particular case, let's say that I want to launch YouTube advertising. I'm going to put in here YouTube advertising, and I don't know if I'm going to do this one on this date or not, but I'm going to say launches on let's say I'm going to say it's going to be on September 28th, right? Launches on September 28th. I'm going to assign that to myself. Right now, if I have other people involved, I can have other people involved. So let's say that I'm going to be working with a designer. Let's say I'm going to be working with a friend. I can invite more people to this project. Right. So let's say that I'm going to be working with a partner. What I can do is I can go here where it says invite more people. And I can actually add somebody on this project. So in this particular case, I can add my daughters on here. I can add my wife on here. I mean, they typically, I don't know if they would work with me on this particular project, but I could do that. If I was going to have a designer work with me, I can add them to the project. If I'm going to have a copywriter working with me on this project, I can add them to the project. And what this does is that this is going to keep the project on task, but basically it keeps me on task, right? So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to set this on the 28th, right? So this is now due on the 28th, right? And so I can then go in here and I can say, okay, well, shiny object syndrome, right? I want to launch that project on the 21st, right? So let's say I want to launch this on the 21st. And let's see, I think I can assign. It's already assigned to me. It may have passed already. Maybe the date's passed. Maybe that's what the problem is. Okay, let's add another to-do list here. I'm going to do a product on information overload. And actually, I'm covering some of the stuff that I'm going to be covering in that project right now. Okay, so I'm going to put that in here, and then I'm going to assign this to myself. I'm going to say that this is going to launch on the 21st. I'm going to write that in here, right? I'm going to write in here, information overload. I don't even know if that's what I'm going to call it. Launches on 9/21 at 11 a.m. Right, so now I've got two projects in here. I've got one on the 28th and one on the 21st, right? And then I can go in here and I can then put a to-do. That's what I do. I can put a to-do list in here, and I can now say, breaking into the offline PLR market, I'm going to say that breaking in launches on 9/14, and I'm going to put that due date on the 14th. Right, and I'm going to assign that to myself. Right now, I'm the only one that uses this. So this particular project. So, you know, if I had other people, then it wouldn't matter. Okay, so here's what I have now. I now have things that are going to take up my schedule. Right, I can now take up my schedule by creating a to-do list. Now, the question is going to be, I need to start asking myself, what do I have to do between now and the 14th to launch this product, right? If that's what I was going to do, I would say, okay, so one of the first things I've got to do is I've got to write script. And if I were going to launch this by the 14th, I would say that that's going to have to be done by the 13th. It's got to be finished. Right? It's got to be finished no later than that date. Actually, it would have to be finished by the 12th because I'd have to record it. Right? So the script's got to be done by the 12th. So I've got to then record the videos and render the videos. And already I can I see there's a problem, right? I've got to record the videos, render the videos all on the day before the launch. Yeah, all on the day before that product launches. So already there's a problem. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this time frame up. I need to have this script written probably now by the 11th, which would be Friday. Right? I now then know then on Saturday, I'll record the videos. Right? Saturday, I record the videos. And then on Sunday, if I want to work. Now, let's say that I'm one of those people, I don't work on Sunday. So if I know that I'm one of those people, I'm not going to work on Sunday, then I've got to even back this up further, right? But let's say that for the sake of argument, I'm going to work on Sunday. So I'm going to render. I'm going to package and upload videos. I'm going to do that on Sunday. Now I've got to write sales copy, and I've got to upload sales copy. And remember, if you were inside of the 30-day challenge, remember I said you need to do that before you record the video. So now I'm going to write sales copy and record sales videos. Now, if I'm writing the script on Friday, I could put that on Friday for the videos, but I'm probably going to need to do that on Thursday. Which would be tomorrow. Okay, and then I'm probably going to need about 3 or 4 hours to either create or outsource sales graphics. So I have to create sales graphics. And probably I'm going to have to do that after. I'm going to have to do that after I do the sales copy. So I'm going to now say I'm probably going to have to do that on Thursday. And then I'm going to write this. I'd have to do that tonight. Okay, and so now basically I've got the whole thing planned out. So now I need to put all these things into my to-do list. Right now, I could use, as you know, I use Wunderlist as my to-do list. Doesn't really matter what to-do list you have. What you see here now is that this project is planned, but and what this means now is that you don't have the time you thought you did on all those days. So before somebody starts asking you, well, you know, can you come by and you know, I gotta move my refrigerator, right? If they say I gotta move my refrigerator on Saturday, and they say what time, and you say you say, well, let's see, I know I can't do it during the beginning of the day. Why? You say that because you got to record videos, right? So whenever the best time is for you to record videos, you know, if the best time for you to record videos because of the noise in your house is going to be early in the day, that means you can't be moving refrigerators during the course of the day. And so this is really what happens to most marketers, right? And it's that gap between your to-do list, because what I found is that most internet marketers that I've met, right, know how to work hard, and they're willing to put in the time and the effort. What happens is you really get caught trying to finish projects that never get planned. And because the projects never get planned, they never get prioritized. And so Basecamp is really a tool that will allow you to think. Right now, you could certainly do this with a sheet of pencil and paper. I'm not denying that. You probably won't do that because most of us are just not wired that way to write this stuff down and to look at it and think about it. Because and so what happens if you start talking about, well, okay, I can't do all that, I'm just going to push this date back. What does that then impact? If I say, okay, I'm not gonna do breaking into the offline PLR market on the 14th. I'm gonna push it back to the 15th. What does that impact? Does anybody see? What does that impact? Okay, anybody can say. If I say I'm now gonna do this project, I'm gonna do this project on the 15th now, I'm going to push it back because I don't have time. I don't know if I'm going to have time. I got stuff I got to do in here. Well, that then impacts what? That impacts information overload, doesn't it? Because I'm going to get into the same jam, right? And eventually what's going to happen is this is going to get finished, but then this never gets done. And then if I push this date back by 1 or 2 days, what happens is this never gets done. And that's really honestly what happens to people. They mean to do projects and they say, oh, you know, I really wanted to do that. And it just never gets done. And it isn't because you're a bad person. And it probably isn't even because you're not organized, right? You can be organized. I mean, you can be really super organized and never get projects done. And most people are like that. And that's really what people struggle with, is because they don't plan this out and they don't make this mandatory. Now, you do have to have the discipline to say, these are mandatory. I don't break these once I write them. And you don't break them because you know that if you don't do them, then you're not going to get a chance to do these things, right? Okay, does that make sense? So what you want to do when you use Basecamp is you need to plan out what it is you need to do. Now, nobody's going to put a product together the way you do it. Right now, the way I do products is not going to be the way you do them. But one thing is for sure, if you don't have the steps written out and you don't have them worked into your day, what's going to happen is only the most urgent things and the most flashy thing. And those are not always going to be the things that make you money. The things that you kind of think about, let's say that you had to plan out a Facebook campaign. When are you going to do that? Well, I have to learn about Facebook. You got to plan that in. If you don't put that in this list, if you don't put this in, if you don't put that Facebook, learning about Facebook and then doing the ads and then whatever you got to do, if you don't put that in here, then you're not gonna do it. And what's going to happen is you're going to get an email about a webinar and you're going to go to the webinar instead of doing this. How many of you all have done that? Right? I know I have. How many of you all have done that? You know you have these projects you want to do, and because you don't know what the steps are and they're kind of fuzzy and you don't know when you're going to get them done, and maybe you just think, yeah, you know, I'll just do it next time. I'll just work double tonight. And what happens is somebody does a webinar, it's a 2-hour webinar. And so you go to it because you don't really know what else you have to do because you didn't write it down. Again, not because you're a bad person and not because you're unorganized and not even because you're not a hard worker. It's just because for some of us, we really do need the visual. I'd say most people do. Because if it's not mandatory and it's not visual, you probably just will not do it. Okay, so Basecamp is free for the first 3 projects, right? Basecamp.com. When you have I think between 3 and 10 projects, it's $20 a month. And honestly, you're probably going to end up in the $20 category. And I know most of you would probably say, but Charles, I don't want to have another monthly charge. But how many of you would agree? How many of you would agree? And again, I don't have an affiliate. I don't have an affiliate link. If you never get these projects done, right? If you planned out these things and you got them launched, would you agree you could probably make that $20 back? Right? That's what I'm talking about here, is that and you could just start out with 3. Right? And I know for some of you, your brain doesn't work like this and it's not going to help you. I understand that. But some of you, most of you will probably find that okay, it looks like they changed their pricing. It's free for 60 days, and you got to get at least $20. Okay, so it's changed. Right? Okay, so it's probably changed then. Okay, you're probably right, Jerry. I mean, I haven't needed more than 10 projects, so I've been paying $20 a month for a long time. Okay, any questions on project planning? Right, if you're a product creator or you're going to launch anything, I would suggest that if you don't use Basecamp, that you use something like it, or whatever it is that you can do to get your thoughts organized so you can make something that gets into your schedule on a daily basis. And if you're working with anybody else, if you're working with any other partner, I'd say it's vital because, again, there are phone calls you have to make. There are emails you have to send. There are people that need to be contacted by a certain date. And if this has ever happened to anyone on this call, I'm pretty sure it has, right? I know it's happened to me, where you've got to work with somebody. And what happens is you end up sending them the email on the last possible minute because you got so much to do leading up to that, and it just becomes not a priority until the last minute when you didn't have it written down, or even if you had it written down, you didn't plan it out. Okay, any questions? Are there any questions in general? Okay, now one thing that I did want to kind of talk about tonight here briefly in terms of PLR is I still want to cover reverse engineering some of the business models that you're looking at pretty much on a routine basis. But one of the things I do want to kind of cover are some resources here. And some of these you all already know about, but I'm gonna cover them, and we're gonna talk about what you can do in order to make your products more viable. Right, I'm gonna talk about what you can do. Now, those of you who are selling in the internet marketing niche, one of the things that you want to make sure that you have, right? You want to have information inside your information products that's current, verifiable, and it's relevant. And so one of the sites that will give you some of that research information is called Marketing Charts. And I'm going to put that in your box right now. It's called Marketing Charts. And Marketing Charts has relevant information for marketers, right? Relevant information for entrepreneurs. And you're going to have some of this information inside of your information products, inside of your blog post, inside of your your social media post. These are the kinds of things that you want to have in there. And you can subscribe to them. You're going to get bombarded with emails, but nevertheless, you are going to find sometimes in here that in and of themselves there are product ideas in here, right? So you can actually create entire products around information products around some of the subjects in here. And so let's say that and you probably would not do a product on millennials if you're selling inside of the business opportunity niche like most of us are. But let's say that you were working with that subject and you're looking at millennials from a marketing perspective, or you just wanted to keep your list informed about things that are important. Now, what Marketing Charts is going to do is Marketing Charts, all they're doing is summarizing the actual study, right? So Marketing Charts has taken a look at a study done by the Pew Research Center. Okay, so the Pew Research Center did a study and they've summarized it. Right now, if you want to go back and read the actual study, you can do that. Or if you just want to use the information from Marketing Charts. The point is that what you have here is you have fact-based information, you have relevant information, And sometimes when you are creating a sales page and you're creating videos, these are the kind of statistics that you want to make sure that you have in there. Remember that what you want to do in your sales letter is you want to make sure you have both proof and social proof. And in some cases, when you have information in here, here's your proof. Remember, the difference between proof and social proof is proof tells us that the concept works, it's scientific, and it's factual. And so you get that factual information from sites like Marketing Charts. Right? Any questions about that? So you can use Marketing Charts for that kind of information. Okay, another site where you can get that kind of information, and I've gone over some of this before, but I think it helps for you to be able to see it again. Now, for those of you who are working and you are doing products inside of the business opportunity niche, and you are talking about video, and you're doing information products. Okay, one site that I read or I subscribe to, whether I watch their videos or I read their site, is called Real SEO. And what they have done is they've really become an authority on YouTube marketing and video marketing, right? And so Real SEO talks about video marketing. And what they do is they really do stay on the cutting edge, right? They keep themselves kind of in front of the market. And so just about everything you're going to read in here, you're going to be in front of the market, right? You're going to be in front of the market. So if you create an information product based on some of the information that you find in this in this area, you are going to find that it's going to be, again, stuff that some people have not heard, right? And I have in the past, right? I've created entire products based on information that I've found here, and then did my research and figured out nobody knew about it yet. Right? So this definitely possible for you not only to create products from information you get from Real SEO, but you can definitely find things and put them inside of your blog posts and inside of your emails to build yourself as an authority. Right? Any questions about that? So Real SEO. There's a similar site that talks about things that's a little more corporate. Onlinevideo.net. And again, here's the context for this. If you're looking for angles for your product, right, so that you're not just regurgitating what you find, this information is you're really bringing it and making it more relevant. Right? So you want to make sure that if you take a piece of PLR and you're going to resell it, you want to make it relevant. And one of the ways you can do that is by finding this other information. And so here is another site where you can do that. It's called onlinevideo.net to Real SEO. But it actually talks about things that are a little more corporate. Right? And they have a sister site called streamingvideo.com, I think it is. Streaming media, yeah. I'm going to put that in your box here. Now, one site that will give you insight on what's coming in corporate advertising, and sometimes this makes it down to this makes it down to the individual level. Other times it does not. Sometimes this is just corporate information, right? And it's not going to be relevant. But other times it will make it into small business and the regular topics that marketers like you and I deal with, right? And it's called Ad Age, right? It's basically advertising, and it talks about trends in advertising and marketing. And I would say that it would be to your best interest to, at the very least, be looking at the head, that you understand the headlines. You don't have to know everything that's in here. Not everything is going to be relevant, but you will benefit by just knowing what the headlines are. Right? This will make you, it'll make you conversant. It'll make you able to discuss things, and you'll start to see connections even as you start to read through information and create your own. Right? Advertising age. Right? Another site that's similar that Google does. And actually, all the Google blogs, apart from them just being Google, right? I know people have a love-hate relationship with them, but their site, Think with Google, is a very, very good blog. Right. And so they will, and part of what they're doing is advertising, right? They're really talking about themselves, right? They're keeping this thing focused on their stuff, but it's still good information to know what the trends are, right? Think with Google, right? Another very good site for you to be able to just make sure that you have an understanding of what is happening. Right. There is another Google site that I look at, and I'm going to spend just a few minutes on here, and you all have probably heard of this already. It's called scholar.google.com, and basically this has advertising. Well, I'm sorry, it has academic research in it. Right. So what it does is it scans academic and professional research documents. And so what you can do is if you put your title in here, or if you put your subject in here, you'll find out what the academic community has out there and has published in a way that Google has been able to search it and find it. So let's say that you are looking at millennials and mobile marketing, right? Or mobile. And the one thing that I like to do, and notice here how they've got it sectioned off. They've sectioned off what's been written since 2015. You can take a look here, and you'll have some, okay, gamification design and mobile marketing effectiveness, right? That's an academic publication or a professional publication. Now, in some cases, you're not going to be able to get this information straight up. Right, you might have to go through your local library in order to get it, but it is findable. Or if you have access to an academic research library. Right, now what's going to happen is you're going to get this, and you're going to see here, it's going to have what's called an abstract. Now, typically the abstract is going to be enough. Right, that's all. This is when you find an academic article. Right. And you don't want to read through all the research and the testing and all the other stuff and the stuff they did to come to the conclusions. You can read the abstract and find out the basic conclusion of what the study is about. Right. So always, whenever you can, even if you can't read, because sometimes you're not going to be able to read the entire study because it's going to be behind a firewall. But other cases, you're going to be able to read the abstract, and the abstract will tell you exactly pretty much what the study is going to be about. And it'll give you the conclusions that you need. If you're going to put some conclusions into your sales letter, you're going to put some of those conclusions into your information product, you're going to put some of those conclusions into your blog post, you can get that information from Google Scholar and some of the articles that are in there. Right? So that's, I'm going to put that in here. It's called Scholar. Scholar.google.com. Okay, are there any questions? Any questions on how you use any of this? So again, what you want to do is you want to make sure that everything that you're doing, that you're bringing additional value to your PLR product, and you want to get this from this source, from sources of information that are relevant. But then again, that likely that some of your customers are probably not going to be reading this stuff all the time. right? And probably the last thing I'm gonna have time to kind of talk about here. It's about 9:45. It's called eMarketer. One of my favorites now. eMarketer.com. They do have a newsletter. eMarketer.com. The subscription is very expensive, but they have very good, relevant information on the site. Right? You'll be able to. You'll always get good, relevant information. When you subscribe to their newsletter. eMarketer.com. All right, and there's also now I'm going to give you access to my link to trade publications. It's called tradepub.com, and I've actually covered this from the other side, and this has trade publications, right? So you can typically, if you go to trade publications, and if you were to go here in particular and you were to look at, let's say, marketing, and if you want to look at, I don't know, advertising and promotion, you're gonna find all these trade publications here, and some of these things will provide you great information, right? Google Plus, guide to email marketing, good information here. Top trending marketing resources, right? So again, there's some now what's going to happen is when you go to these links, you're going to be asked to opt in, right? They're going to ask you to opt in, right? So you're gonna if you hit request, then they're probably going to ask you for name and email address and all that other stuff. Okay, any questions? Okay, now some of this I actually covered during the 30-day challenge. If you haven't seen, I did bundle up everything inside of the 30-day challenge. It is now available. You can actually get it at a pretty good discount now. You can get all 17 hours for a great price. So I think it's right there inside of your box there. So you'll see that there, and you can actually take advantage of it. If you're looking for the link in particular, I will put that in here also. And I think it's Insider is what it is. I think that's what it is. .com maybe. Oh, no, that's not what it is. It's 30-day challenge. Sorry about that. Great, Vern. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, everybody, are there any questions on anything that I covered tonight? Great, Ralph. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Well, everybody, it's about 9:50, and I am going to uncharacteristically let you go early. So I'm not gonna keep you long tonight. Now, tomorrow night, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be talking about um, reverse engineering, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna really get into. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Jerry. I think it's gainmindshare.com 30-day challenge, or it's in the offers tab. Yep. So so uh, we're gonna be talking about um, reverse engineering, and I'm actually gonna show you a couple of things that I've just kind of learned um, to really value when you are able to go to a site, and you will probably start looking at things a little differently when you get a marketing email. One of the things that I have learned to do, and we'll get into this tomorrow, is that when I find something that, let's say, I like to take a look and see what kind of membership site software people are using. I like to see what kind of sales pages they're using. I like to see all that stuff. And I'm going to show you all of that tomorrow. Right? I'm going to show you how to get into that tomorrow, and really how to reverse engineer things all the way down to the nth detail. Right? So that's tomorrow at 9 p.m. We're going to start doing that at 9 p.m. instead of 8:30 on Thursday. So, okay, everybody. Well, thank you very much for being here. And I will, for those of you who are able to be here, I will see you tomorrow night. I will send this replay out later on this evening. So with that, thanks, and I will see you next tomorrow night. Bye-bye.